My wife was forced by her family to give our baby to her infertile sister, so when I exposed the truth in court, their perfect world ruined instantly. I, a 28-year-old male, met my wife, Jackie, in 2008 when we were both in high school. We were classmates assigned to work on a project together, so we started spending time after school at each other's homes. During this time, we both had the chance to meet each other's families. Our backgrounds are quite different. I grew up in a typical family setup with my mom, dad, and brother, thanks to my dad's military career. On the other hand, my wife's family had its share of challenges. Her parents split up when she was young, and her dad was apparently abusive toward her older sister, Heather. Despite the separation, my wife lived with both her mom and dad, as they had equal custody until she was a teenager. Heather only stayed with their mom. While their relationship was rocky, it wasn't abusive like her sister's. Instead, it seemed her dad struggled with setting boundaries and guiding her properly. My wife, Jackie, told me early on that her older sister, Heather, has always resented her for having a better relationship with their dad. I hate to write this, but Heather is exactly like her dad. She would do her best to bully everyone around her. The one most affected by this was my wife. Heather would go out of her way to make Jackie's life difficult. She would mock my wife's outfits or hair during high school. Whenever I came over to meet Jackie, I would see how Heather played pranks on her, which were borderline cruel, like locking Jackie inside the bathroom and switching off the lights while Jackie screamed for help, as she doesn't like dark spaces. If Jackie got more birthday presents from her friends, Heather would get angry and cut Jackie's favorite clothes to shreds. Once, I remember Jackie coming to school looking disheveled, trying to hide her hair in a cap. She always had long blonde hair, so when I questioned her about what happened, she broke down and told me how Heather had mixed color dye with her shampoo, forcing her to cut her hair short to salvage what she could. It was heartbreaking to see her like that. Heather's jealousy seemed to know no bounds, and Jackie bore the brunt of it all too often. I couldn't understand how someone could be so cruel to their own sister. It was clear to me that their relationship was toxic, but Jackie always seemed to make excuses for Heather's behavior, saying she was just going through a rough time. I always hoped Jackie would eventually realize her worth and distance herself from Heather's toxicity. Their mother did nothing to help Jackie throughout all of this. My wife was always unfairly compared to her elder sister. According to my wife, her mother always said her eldest sister was prettier, smarter, more talented, more likable, more popular, and just better in every way. My wife, therefore, turned into a desperate overachiever growing up, trying to win her mother's approval. Her mother, Lori, would constantly tell her to improve her grades, even though Jackie was at the top of our class. Lori would harshly punish Jackie if she even got one question wrong. When we were working on our project at her house, Lori would hover over us and try to give her opinion, telling us how she could make our project better, even though we were supposed to do it without our parents' help. Lori would ask me questions like whether Jackie was being a good girl at school or if she was really a smart student. I would feel so uncomfortable because, at that time, I didn't know Jackie well. However, her mother's intrusive questions bothered me. I guess this is when I started to defend Jackie subconsciously. I would tell her mother whenever I came over if Jackie did anything well during class, while Jackie would just blush and smile. Her mother, instead of complimenting her daughter, would say things like Jackie had a lot of room for improvement and how she needed to do better to stand out. When Jackie and I realized our feelings for each other, she was extremely scared that Heather and her mother would find out. Looking back, I was too young to see just how she was abused. She would try to hide our relationship as much as she could, like not texting me once Lori was back home from work, deleting her messages with me every night, or not holding hands with me for fear that Heather might spot us. When prom was about to happen in a couple of months, I asked her to come with me, but Jackie was afraid to say yes. Being a naive teenage boy, I had enough of her restrictions. I told her quite rudely that if she didn't go with me to prom, I was going to break up with her because I was sick and tired of all this hiding. This reduced Jackie to tears, and she confessed to me about how she was afraid that her mother and Heather would try to ruin our relationship because they tended to take away all good things from her life. I felt really bad at that moment. In the end, Jackie decided to open up about her relationship with her mother. Heather had a huge fit about how Jackie had a boyfriend before her and started yelling at her to break up with me. She would tell her that she was not good enough, so I would break up with her anyway, and it was better for her to do it. This would make Jackie cry a lot, and she was insecure with me for a long time, thinking I might actually leave her because of all this. As you can imagine, Heather and I have never seen eye to eye. It always felt like she couldn't stand me, resenting the idea that anyone could date her sister. She would throw around insults, calling me a loser or stupid for being with someone like Jackie, to try to break us up. She would refuse to give us space if I ever wanted to spend time with Jackie at her place, so Jackie and I started to spend more and more time at my place. My mother has always adored Jackie. She would joke with us about how she had always wanted a daughter but ended up with 2 boys. I didn't mind sharing my mom with Jackie because I could see how much happier and brighter she was at our place. Jackie started coming over more and would even have dinner with us. She became such a constant figure in my home that my brother treated her like his own sister. Also, my dad would get Jackie's favorite strawberry tart whenever he could because Jackie loved the bakery near my dad's workplace. Jackie would sometimes even sleep over. I guess this is when the real trouble started. Lori would scold Jackie for spending all her time at my place and would throw insults at her for spending time with me. Jackie's dad had no issue with this, probably because he was already spending time with another woman by this point, but Lori was adamant that I was a distraction in Jackie's life and ordered Jackie to break things off with me. Jackie refused, and this resulted in a huge fight. When Lori found our messages on Jackie's phone, she broke her phone in anger. She started to mercilessly trash Jackie's room and threatened to remove her door. Heather did nothing but add to the fire by saying how Jackie was probably doing inappropriate things with me and that this was how girls become pregnant. Their fight became so bad that Jackie's dad had to come and pick her up. He helped her pack up her clothes and books so she could move into his place, all while Lori continued to scream a lot of inappropriate things at Jackie, traumatizing her even more. Once Jackie started living with her dad, I think things improved a bit. Now, I will never say that he is the best father because he was abusive toward Heather, but maybe he changed over the years because he was much more patient toward Jackie. He even allowed us to see each other, but with the condition that she should be back home by 8 p.m. He had no issues with Jackie spending time at my place. My mom would even send pies with Jackie to give to her dad, and this is how he got to know my family. When it was time for Jackie to go to college, Lori reached out to Jackie, imploring her to go to a college that was nearer so she could continue to see her. I urged Jackie that we could not allow her to do this and that we needed to study at a good university and stay as far away from her as possible. Thankfully, Jackie agreed, and she and I got into the same university, and she qualified for a scholarship. College time was much better for us. My parents would come and see us whenever they could, and Jackie's dad was in constant touch with her. Jackie started to make new friends, and she began to open up more. We could go out and party with our friends without worrying about her mom calling or screaming at us. Obviously, Jackie and I were still working hard and acting our best, but we were just a bit freer. Once, during college, Lori came to visit her. Jackie was stressed throughout the day because she knew what was coming. I don't even know why Lori had come to visit because all she did the whole day was mock Jackie's choice of college and her outfit and comment on how Jackie seemed to have changed and was no longer the respectful daughter she had raised. Lori bragged the entire time about how Heather had finally met a guy who was perfect for her, and they had recently gotten married. This was news to Jackie since she had no idea about this and felt upset about not being invited, even though she and Heather had not talked for a while. Lori compared Heather's guy with me and how he was able to provide Heather with everything, which was ridiculous since I was still in college. However, this affected Jackie a lot, and she was sad for days. I have always felt like Lori knowingly puts Jackie down so that Jackie can continue to work hard toward getting her validation. Even though Jackie could have just cut off her mom, she would tell me how much she missed her and would wonder if things between them would get better in the future. In our 3rd year of college, Jackie and I were going strong when we found out that she was pregnant. She had been having morning sickness for a week, and her period was late. Once we put 2 and 2 together, we were ecstatic beyond words. I know, as a college student, it was not the most ideal time, but I didn't mind since Jackie has always been the love of my life, and if things turned out like this, I was ready to step up and support her and our baby. We went to ultrasounds together and were told by the doctor that everything seemed okay. I eventually told my parents, and they were both stunned and happy for us. My dad assured me that I had nothing to worry about, and my mom told me that she would help Jackie and our baby as much as she could. The only issue was that Jackie had to talk to her parents. I knew this was going to be a very difficult conversation since her mother was definitely going to blame her and me, but I encouraged Jackie to talk since this was a necessary conversation before the baby arrived. Jackie decided to go back home and talk to her parents on her own. I begged her not to go alone and that I wanted to be there as well because I was afraid for her safety, but Jackie assured me that she needed to face this alone. That weekend, Jackie went back to her dad's place, where she would eventually call up her mom and ask for a meeting. She had texted me until she reached her dad's place. Now, this is where things get muddy. For days after Jackie's supposed meeting at her dad's place, she did not pick up my calls or answer my texts. I was worried sick as I started to think the worst. 2 weeks of incessant calls and messages later, Jackie called me to say that she was dropping out of college. I was stunned, as this was not at all the news I had been waiting to hear. I questioned her as to what had happened, and she told me how her mother was okay with her pregnancy but had insisted that Jackie needed to be a good mother and take a break from the stress of college. She emphasized how the baby could be affected by her constant movement around college and that she could always get back to college next year. I reminded her about her scholarship, but Jackie told me that her parents had discussed and agreed to help her out with her college fees. She also told me that she was afraid of people talking behind her back and judging her for getting pregnant. I told her that if people would judge her, then they would judge me also, but I did not care since she was my girlfriend, and we loved each other. However, Jackie refused to be honest. This all sounded very suspicious to me. My mind was spinning, and I begged her to come back and talk to me. I even told her that I wanted to drive back and meet her so we could discuss all our options. I reminded her how my parents were ready to help her, so she didn't have to drop out of college. I assured her that we would talk to the professors together. I don't know why, but I had a pit in my stomach because I feared that my girlfriend was being brainwashed. Jackie declined all my offers of help and told me that she was perfectly safe and fine. She assured me that she would be back in college very soon. I asked her then what about the baby, and she told me that her mother would be taking care of the baby. I immediately opposed it. I told her that she had no right to make a decision about the baby on her own since I was the father. Jackie told me that, even though her mother was hard on her sometimes, overall, she was a good parent. I almost laughed hearing this and pointed out to her that she spent the majority of her high school at my place since she hated being at her home and how her mom had almost kicked her out. This then resulted in a fight, with Jackie arguing that I was being too harsh on her mother and that I should show more compassion. I told her that I could not force her to come back to college, but when it came to the baby, I did not want her mother anywhere near our child. In the end, Jackie assured me that we would make that decision after the child was born. I begrudgingly agreed. Months passed with Jackie and me talking over the phone whenever we could. I was working hard at college to earn my degree while Jackie was going through the pregnancy all on her own. Throughout all this, Lori and Heather would be exceptionally kind to her, or so I heard from Jackie. She would tell me excitedly how her sister would go with her to her ultrasounds and how her mother would give her foot massages whenever she felt tired. During this time, I would sometimes come and visit Jackie whenever I got a break from college. Lori hated these visits and would constantly blame me for Jackie's pregnancy, but I took it because I felt like I deserved it. However, every time I wanted to touch Jackie's belly or spend some time talking to our child, like every other expectant parent does, and Jackie would encourage me to do so as well, Lori or Heather would interrupt us. They would tell me that it was weird and that I should not be so attached. I would question them about what they meant, but they would brush me off. As the delivery date was approaching, Jackie told me how her mother and sister had been convincing her to do a home birth with the presence of a doula. I researched it and firmly told her no since I was afraid of all the things that could go wrong. However, Jackie started to insist that she had met the doula and was really entertaining the idea of a home birth. Looking back, I wish I could have stopped her, but I guess life had other plans for us. On the day Jackie gave birth, I was taking my exams. My phone was on silent, and I was not allowed to check it in the middle of exams. When I got done, I found 8 missed calls from Jackie and a message saying that I needed to come to her immediately. I called her, but no one picked up. I called again, and this is when Heather picked up the phone. I questioned her as to what had happened to Jackie and if she was okay. Heather assured me that Jackie was fine but that I needed to come over. I jumped in my car and drove for 5 hours straight so I could be there for Jackie. Throughout the drive, I kept thinking the worst. When I reached her place, I rushed to see her. Lori and her ex-husband looked grim as they opened the door. I did not even bother with them as I searched for Jackie and found her in her room. Jackie was curled up in her bed and crying. Instinctively, I embraced her, desperately seeking answers about what had happened to our child. However, Jackie continued to cry, unable to find the words to explain. Overwhelmed by the suspense, I pleaded with her to share the truth. Jackie finally took a deep breath and told me, in between sobs, that she had lost our child. I felt like the ground was shaking beneath me, and I could feel my heart break. I started to sob, and Jackie hugged me while I wept for hours on her lap. I kept asking her what happened, and she told me how the baby was declared stillborn as soon as she gave birth. She continued to speak about the reactions of the doula, her mom, and her sister, but I felt like I just could not comprehend anything. I felt like vomiting and rushed to her bathroom. Later, I called my parents to come and pick me up. They had no idea that Jackie had even given birth, so they rushed over once they found out the news. They were as heartbroken as me. My mother hugged me as she and I both cried, and my dad hugged Jackie and assured her that they were there for her. I can't begin to write how painful those days were. I had never really been depressed or suicidal in my life, but I came very close to that during this time. The only good thing was that Jackie and I continued to love each other. We never let each other go. Eventually, I had to return to college, and the next semester, Jackie rejoined college, just like she had told me. For a very long time, I feared getting intimate with her again, as the stillbirth of our child kept haunting me. Looking back now, Jackie never reacted the same as me. I mean, yes, she was crying when I first went to her, but in a few days, she was back to her old self. At that time, I thought maybe it was her coping mechanism. She would go out with friends, drink, or party like nothing bad ever happened. She quickly bounced back, while I was still stuck feeling heartbroken and uneasy. My parents would regularly check up on me. 3 months after Jackie's incident, Heather informed us that she had given birth. I was stunned, as I had no idea that she was even pregnant to begin with. I questioned Jackie, but she told me how Heather had gotten pregnant after she got pregnant, but that she had forgotten to tell me. This was very unusual for Jackie since I have known this girl since we were teenagers. She and I never had any secrets. Throughout her pregnancy, she never once mentioned to me that Heather was pregnant, but Jackie continued to reassure me that pregnancy had made her very forgetful and that it happens to a lot of women. In the end, even though I was suspicious, I let it go. Now, it's been 3 years since Jackie and I graduated college and got married. Since I graduated before her, I secured a job first, which helped me save up money so we could move into our rented place when she graduated. Both of us have great jobs and equally contribute to the rent and the bills. Since we felt secure and settled, I finally proposed to her this year. Everyone congratulated us. By this time, Lori and my relationship had also improved, and she no longer mocked me. We were going to have a traditional church wedding. When we went to talk to our priest about our vows, he emphasized how couples should have no secrets and that we should come clean to each other before our marriage, otherwise, it would be a sin and betrayal in the eyes of God. After that day, I noticed that Jackie had been very jumpy. She asked me if I had something to confess to her, but I laughed. I had never hidden anything from her. When I questioned her the same, she got offended and told me how I could even suspect her and that I should have more confidence in her if I was going to marry her. Her reaction surprised me since I thought we were just joking around, but I decided not to push it further. However, Jackie remained unusually quiet and distracted throughout our wedding process. Now, I have seen some brides get over the top when it comes to wedding planning, but Jackie looked like she could not even be bothered. When my mother excitedly wanted to go dress shopping with her, she told my mother that she could just pick out a dress for her since she had no preference. Jackie showed no interest in guest lists or centerpieces. Thankfully, my parents stepped up for us and helped me in planning everything. Jackie seemed to be completely out of it. I even questioned her if she had cold feet, but then she got emotional and assured me that she had no doubt in her head that she was going to be my wife. On the day of my wedding, while my friends and I partied during the reception and had a good time, Jackie seemed unusually quiet, and I could see her forcefully smiling and talking to the guests. I finally met Heather's child during the wedding, and her daughter had the same blue eyes as Heather and Jackie. I hugged her and almost felt emotional, thinking about how Jackie and I had lost our child. Heather congratulated me and quickly rushed her daughter away to eat and mingle with other guests. During the celebration, I once found Jackie furiously arguing with her mom in hushed tones, but they went quiet when I approached them. I guess this is when alarm bells in my head went off. Later, during the honeymoon, Jackie continued to look sad. I knew something was bothering her, and I could not take it anymore. I told her that she needed to tell me whatever it was that was on her mind, but Jackie tried to dodge the question. I remained firm and refused to let her get away this time and told her how suspicious her behavior had been for the past couple of weeks. I told her that she could tell me whatever it was because if she didn't, I would just think the worst of her. Jackie laughed dryly and told me that I could not even come close to imagining what she had done. Hearing this, I felt a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. I insisted that she be honest with me, assuring her that we could face anything together. Finally, Jackie took a deep breath and began to share her secret while silently crying. She tearfully confessed that she had been lying to me all this while and that it was eating her inside since she didn't want our marriage to start on the wrong foot. I patiently waited while my mind was reeling as she continued to say how she knew I might not be able to forgive her, but she needed to say this to me. She told me that she apparently never lost our baby. My eyes widened in shock as she continued to say how she had given away our baby to her sister, Heather, because her family pressured her a lot. Apparently, Heather and her husband were trying to have a baby, but Heather couldn't get pregnant as she was infertile. So, when she found out that Jackie was pregnant, she was ecstatic and started to tell Jackie how she needed to give her baby to her and made her believe that she wasn't yet ready to take care of a child at this age. Lori, who was opposed to the idea of Jackie being pregnant, suddenly seemed on board with Heather's idea and pressured Jackie that this was the best course of action for everybody. When Jackie said no, things got worse. Her mom and sister started yelling at her that she was being stupid and selfish and that Heather could give the child everything that she could never give, as she was still a broke college student. Heather pointed out how it didn't matter who raised the child since the child would be a part of the family anyway and that Jackie could always love the child as a cool aunt. Jackie kept refusing and even thought about running away, but they took away her phone, making her feel stuck. Even her dad got involved and threatened to kick her out while she was still pregnant. Her mom kept saying that giving the baby to Heather wasn't a big deal and that she should do this for her infertile sister. She assured her that this would make them love her even more. I was stunned into silence as Jackie kept trying to explain herself and justify her actions. I felt like I was in a daze, and I suddenly felt repulsed by her. I just walked out of the room as I could not stand to be near her. As I'm writing this on Reddit, I'm shaking with anger while my wife continues to call me desperately. I don't want to talk to her because I'm so angry by what she has done. She gave away my daughter to her infertile sister and hid this fact for so long. I can't believe that I met my daughter at the wedding, and Heather acted like she was her child. I'm going to make sure my wife, her sister, and her entire family pay for what they have done. However, I just took my marriage vows a few days ago, and I was raised thinking that I should never abandon my family and that things can always be worked out. So, if I leave my wife and pursue this legally so I can get back my daughter, will my wife be in trouble? I don't know what to think. I feel numb. Please help me. Strangers have been reaching out to me to ask if this is really true and to offer their sympathies. I am sorry to say that this is true, and I am an utter fool who got played by my wife and her family. How could I be this stupid? I've gone through all your comments, and believe me, I blame myself more than you can blame me. I have cried for hours and hours. My daughter is 4 and has been living a lie, just like me. I went back to my room and packed all my things so I could fly back home. Jackie continued to beg me not to leave her and even went down on her knees, but I was done. I don't know how, but all the love and adoration I had for her for years seemed to have drained. I felt disgusted and betrayed. I'm currently at my parents' place, and they are as shocked as me to find out the news. My parents are ready to go up in arms against Jackie's parents. I will be contacting a lawyer who can help me out with all this. Let me get my head straight and find out all my options. It's been 2 months. I know it's been a while, but going to court every day has kept me busy. First of all, to answer the multiple questions, no, I'm no longer married to Jackie. My lawyer helped us annul the marriage on the grounds of irreconcilable differences, and I explained to the judge how my wife had given our child to her infertile sister, so I no longer wanted to continue being married to her. The judge did a double take and asked me if she heard right. Anyone who hears my story is shocked and keeps asking me to repeat it since no one can believe how a mother can be this cruel. Jackie, for her part, has continued to play the part of a grieving ex-wife. A lot of you pointed out to me that if Jackie had really wanted, she could have fought for the baby a long time ago, yet she continued to stay silent and let me suffer, thinking we had lost our baby. She clearly loved her sister and her mother more than me. I don't care about love, but she had the audacity to give away my daughter and made me believe that she had a stillbirth. I have been visiting the court every day with my lawyer and trying to prove this in court. The first thing the judge ordered was a paternity test to check whether I was really her father. Heather's lawyer fought valiantly but had to give in when it was declared that I was, in fact, the father of the child. All hell broke loose. I felt like putting my hands on Heather while she and Lori continued to cry silently, as if they were the ones who had been wronged. Jackie sat in the courtroom, looking devastated. The judge ordered that a full investigation be conducted into the circumstances surrounding the relinquishing of the child to Heather. Since it has now been proven that I am indeed the father, my lawyer has told me how Jackie's actions were not only emotionally distressing but also legally questionable, and that she could end up in prison. I honestly hope she does because, as a father, I don't want any other man to face this nightmare. No parent has the right to just give away their child, and I hope my case serves as an example to anyone who even thinks about doing this. In the weeks that followed, the legal proceedings took a significant turn. Testimonies were heard, documents were presented, and the truth began to emerge. It was revealed that Jackie had been coerced and pressured by her family, particularly her mother and sister, to surrender our child to Heather. Heather's lawyer, attempting to defend their actions, argued that they genuinely believed Jackie wasn't ready to be a mother and that giving the baby to Heather was in the child's best interest. He also argued that the child should not be displaced from her home and that it would be best for Heather to continue to be her mother. However, the judge wasn't swayed and emphasized the importance of respecting the rights of both parents. Based on the evidence presented and the judge's decision to prioritize the best interests of the child, custody was granted to me, and legal action was initiated against Heather and Jackie. The court found grounds to press charges related to coercion, manipulation, and potential violations of family and child welfare laws. As a result, both Heather and Jackie have been arrested. The charges include actions that led to the emotional distress of both parents, the coercion of Jackie into giving up the child, and potential violations of parental rights. The court also ruled that Lori and Jackie's dad go for mandatory counseling since they had encouraged their daughters to do this, although Heather was the one who had actually come up with the idea and executed it. Heather's husband was largely unaware of the coercion and manipulation orchestrated by Heather and Lori and had been living thinking that Jackie had never wanted her daughter. I really felt bad for the guy, as he cried a lot when it was time for him to separate from Amber. Due to his limited involvement, the legal consequences for him involved paying a heavy fine and community service. The judge warned all of them to stay away from me and Amber, otherwise, their next legal consequences would be much worse. When the ruling was done, I had tears of joy running down my face. I could not believe that I had finally won custody to be with my daughter. The legal system had worked to hold Jackie and Heather accountable. Lori was crying and screaming as she watched her two daughters be escorted out of court in handcuffs. I felt really bad when I saw Jackie's face and the regret on her face, but I reminded myself that she was no longer the woman I had fallen in love with. Since the court ruling, my daughter, who is named Amber, has been staying with me and my parents. A social worker came to drop her off, and we were informed that they would continue to visit us for a few months until they felt confident that Amber was comfortable living with us. I won't lie, I cried and hugged my daughter for hours as she looked confused. Later, my parents showed Amber her new room, and she excitedly jumped up and down on her bed. For a few days, I could not even believe that my daughter was alive and that I finally had her after months of fights in court. Every time I see her, I just want to hug her and never let her go. The first few weeks were difficult with Amber, as she missed her mommy, but we have been going to a therapist, where I gently showed her pictures of Jackie and me when she was pregnant and told her that I was actually her dad and how she had been taken away from me. Amber took some time to digest the news, but the therapist has assured us that she will eventually warm up to us, and we should give her time. I bond with my daughter, take her to the park every weekend, and we play games, draw, and just spend quality time together. Slowly but surely, I see Amber opening up, her laughter becoming more frequent, and her trust in me growing. The social worker visits have been positive, with each passing visit affirming that Amber is adjusting well to her new environment. The initial confusion and sadness are gradually giving way to the joy of creating new memories together. My parents have been incredible pillars of support, providing love and stability for Amber during this transitional period. As we navigate this journey of healing, I am grateful for all support I have received. The wounds from the past are gradually healing, and I would like to move forward in my life.